In the previous part, we talked about the big picture of common wheat and flour, so today we're zooming in and looking at what's happening on a microscopic level. If you haven't already seen part 1, I suggest you check it out. If you're all caught up, then let's take a look at the Science Sketchbook.
Science Sketchbook!
As I'm sure you know, when you water a seed, a plant grows. But how and why and what's going on right here? Well, all the sugars and nutrients and instructions are all locked up inside this little vault. And all it takes to unlock is water. Water goes through this little channel and activates the internal enzymes to start processing these starches and carbohydrates into simple sugars to be eaten by the germ, and bam, plant. And if you're thinking, I've heard so much about these damn enzymes and I have no idea what the hell they are, then welcome to the club. Until recently, I just thought of them as little organic science wizards, when actually, they kind of are. Most enzymes are proteins within cells that turn a group of things into one thing, or break up one thing into multiple things. That's a check mark in case anyone was wondering. But what's special is that they lose nothing in the process. They catalyze action without giving up any energy, kind of like a zipper, or like experimental jazz. It can bring people together or tear families apart. Either way, jazz don't care. Back to the wheat berry. So this is the wheat's primary objective, right? Turn into a plant.
But once it is milled, its cell structure is destroyed, forever ruining its chances to become a full-grown plant.
That was my flawless Werner Herzog impression. Anyway, once it's milled, all the components, the proteins, the nutrients, the starches, the enzymes, they're all just sitting pretty. And once we add water, the enzymes get to work, and the main enzyme we're talking about today is amylase. What this guy does is it takes these large, complex chains of carbohydrates and starches and breaks them up into smaller, simpler sugars. Two sugars that matter the most here are maltose and glucose. Maltose is actually where we get the word malt from. These two simple sugars are important here because they become food for none other than our heroes, yeasts and bacteria. Billions and billions of yeasts and bacteria are floating all around us at any given time. They're on our skin, on our hands, and in the flour. Because wild yeasts actually cling to the bran of wheat. That's one reason why it's always good to get organic, recently milled flour for your starter. Bleached or treated flour kills all these little guys. And if you were trying to make a starter out of them, you're relying entirely on the yeasts in the air, which is technically possible, but it'll take much longer and there's a greater chance of failure. So when we make a dough and introduce our starter, which is teeming with these guys, like billions upon billions, I'm not kidding, in a ratio of approximately 1 yeast cell to 100 bacteria, they start chomping away on these sugars. The yeast fart out carbon dioxide and ethanol, and actually through mitosis they grow another one, and the whole process starts again. While the lactic acid bacteria lowers the pH, giving it that signature sour smell and taste, and creating an inhospitable environment for harmful yeast and bacteria, also acting as a natural preservative after it's baked. In any other yeast fermentation, like wine for example, the carbon dioxide just floats up into the air. But when we make dough out of wheat flour, it gets trapped. And why is that? Because of the miraculous gluten network. That's how, and we'll talk about how that works in the next video. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe and share and comment. We love to hear what you guys have to say. Speaking of which, check us out at SOURJOE Official on any social media, and go to SOURJOE.com to sign up for our newsletter. It's got a ton of information and updates, and it's great. You should just go and see for yourself. In the meantime, I'm Aaron Brandolino. Happy baking.